Welcome to BCyber's The Art of Cyber videocast series, where we meet with the experts in the cyber ecosystem and learn a little bit about what's happening out there. Today, we're joined by Brett Williams, Flashpoint's lead solutions architect in the Australian Pacific region. Hey, Brett, how's it going?
Not too bad, Karen. How are you?
Oh, not too bad. So what exactly is threat intelligence?
Look, there's obviously lots of different meanings that have been used, but really what it is, it's about taking information, looking at it, analysing it, putting some context around it to be able to make better decisions, be them business risk decisions or a technical decision. But it's really about understanding threats, right? So the term threat intelligence, the keys threats, which is external threats, people, process, techniques they use, and how you can sort of understand that. A lot of times we think it's just what we call indicators of compromise, which is more technical intelligence, like an IP address that's bad or a file that might be bad, but it's more than that, right? From a business perspective, it's understanding, taking some information, putting context around it, and understanding the external threat and how you can do better.
But isn't it like just for the big guys, the big banks? Why would a small or medium enterprise want this information?
I think every enterprise needs to understand external threats or landscape of how it may impact their business, right? So they can make risk decisions. Now, it's clear that a lot of small to mediums have smaller budgets, less teams, so it's not something you can just throw more people at. But in some cases, that might be more important to be able to actually understand what's externally happening in the landscape. And that could be everything from a geopolitical business risk perspective down to a cyber risk perspective. What type of threats are we seeing? Will they impact me as a business? Is there a particular vulnerability that's come out from XYZ vendor that impacts my business, and how do I better get prepared to protect myself? So really, intelligence could enable quicker, better decision making, even in a small company, right? Like understanding where to allocate security, where do you need it, right? A lot of times we don't understand what's going on outside to make those decisions.
Right. So in an Australian context, do you have any examples where threat intelligence information has actually made a positive impact on a company?
Yeah, look, I think, things like vulnerability management, like I mentioned before, understanding your assets, right? So firstly, we've all got IT assets. Those IT assets, by the nature, have vulnerabilities, and patching is not something we can always do. So actually understanding potential threats to those vulnerabilities, how to patch them, where you should focus, aids that. I think just understanding, even just in the recent global climate that we've had, understanding intelligence from a curated point of view and making better business decisions, and understanding what, like COVID, for example, how do we use that? How do we actually understand that without sort of being overwhelmed by all the news and other news out there? How do you actually get curated intelligence to enable business decisions? And in general, another area we've helped a lot of Australian businesses is that general visibility, understanding what are the threats to your sector, maybe to the country, or just in general, so you can sort of make those better business decisions about how you can protect yourself.
Right. So if I'm a smallish business and say I've got, I don't know, maybe 6 people in my IT department at best, possibly a lot less.
Yep.
What can they do themselves, or is this really a job for the experts, and how can you help in this respect?
Well, look, sometimes an external party like ourselves can come into play, because we can act as more of an intelligence arm for the business. So like anything, it starts with a requirement, right? In intelligence, we call them PRIs, primary intelligence requirements, a fancy term to say, what do I need to understand, right? And then to understand that, what information do I need? Now, the more mature end of town might have teams doing that themselves, their own intelligence arm, producing their own reports. The smaller business will generally not. So that's where parties like Flashpoint come in, where we can help you with what we do. We do finished intelligence reports. We can help you with getting the curated data and give you that visibility in an easy to way, consumable format, right? And then from there, you can sort of take that and look to go, how do I adjust my defenses? Maybe look at some automation. Automation's big, so key integrations make smaller teams work more efficient. So having intelligence go into your existing infrastructure and have it automated is a big thing, particularly for the smaller sort of organizations, where you can get bigger bang for your buck, if you like, if you can automate, right?
Right. And also and this is a question without notice, does your company actually have more languages than just English? Because I'm just sort of thinking from a general point of view, you've got an IT group here, small, maybe 3 to 6 people in it, and their native language will be English. Okay, they're in Australia, but not all the bad actors use English when they're out there talking about different companies. So are you able to cover off that as well?
Yeah, so we cover that in two ways. Like I said, we produce intelligence based on what our analysts see. So we have a team that speaks in, I think it's over 22 languages now, or covers the 22 language stream. And you're correct, bro. A lot of the places where illicit actors collaborate are not English. So we do that work for you. We understand the slang words, we understand what they do and how they communicate, and then we produce that intel report or provide the data that can be consumed a lot easier, obviously in English. So yeah, that's definitely something we can do.
Okay, so if there were two takeouts for a small to medium enterprise when it comes to risk intelligence, what would they be?
I think appreciating what's going on externally is important no matter what the size of business is, right? Just having that appreciation of curated sort of news, if you like, or if you want to call it intelligence, so you can make those risk decisions. And it doesn't have to be a massive, undertaking. It could just be a report or an email or whatever it is to get that information. So being focused externally is, I think, is very important. I think traditionally businesses have done that quite a bit. A lot of times in cyber, it's just trying to get ahead of the next attack, right? But reality is you don't necessarily have to focus on the next attack. Like, what's that next piece of malware, when you can understand the techniques that are being used, the planning that's being done, so you can be better prepared, not be chasing those indicators of compromise all the time that are always changing.
Yeah. Look, I guess from a business point of view, the way that I'm viewing it, it's the whole, know your enemy sort of thing. So you need to know what's being said about you, by whom it's being said, and what where they're actually saying it. Because as I understand it, it's not just on the deep dark web. There are also various messaging services and things of that nature that they use. And I would guess that a small to medium business wouldn't have the facilities to be across all of the various messaging services, be it Telegram or Signal or whatever it is. So, perhaps that's sort of one way.
Yeah, and I think you're right. Like, it could just be a simple matter of just looking for brand mentions, right, and understanding people talking about you or your industry or your sort of general thing, right? So being able to automate that. Now, automate that through a platform like ours or through partners and MSSPs who can do that work for you. There's ways of doing it. There's sort of, I like to say, there's no excuse not to be doing it, because there are people who can do it for you, people who can help you, or you can make some small, some investments and do it yourself, right? But yeah, automation of that and looking for those mentions across those illicit communities is important.
Yeah. All right, look, thank you so much for joining us today, and everyone else, thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed learning about threat intelligence and what's happening out there. So until next time, remember, be cyber and be cyber safe. Thank you very much.